Her laughter sliced through the silence of the hallway, echoing beyond the walls before I'd even turned the key in the lock. I froze, key halfway in, my hand gripping the metal like it was her throat. It wasn't the kind of laughter that comes from genuine joy. It was performative. The kind of laugh that needs an audience to validate it. I stepped inside quietly. Carefully. Noise ruins observation, and I've learned that watching is most powerful when done unnoticed. There she was, April, balanced on the armrest of the couch like a queen on a makeshift throne. A wine glass dangled from her fingers, her legs crossed in a way that screamed performance over comfort. She wore the silk blouse I brought back for her from Milan, and the smile she reserved for strangers. Her friends huddled around her like disciples at the foot of a burning bush. "He doesn't even have a job," she declared, loud enough to earn their raucous approval. "Can you imagine my boyfriend, the stay-at-home philosopher?" They howled. I stood silently in the doorway. Invisible. They didn't even notice I was there. I'd become a ghost in my own home. Without a word, I turned away and walked to the master bedroom. I closed the door behind me, not with a slam, but a whisper. There's a unique power in silence, especially when you own the roof they're laughing under. I lay on the bed, fully dressed, eyes wide open for hours. Her laughter didn't just fade, it stayed. Reverberated through my mind long after the walls stopped echoing. But I wasn't hurt. Not in the way she'd hoped. Not embarrassed. Not emasculated. I was calculating. They thought I was jobless. That I was mooching off April's hospitality, her influence, her curated life. But she never told them the truth, because she didn't know it. That I kept the power on in all their overpriced apartments. That their paychecks were signed in ink by me. That Clara had begged HR for a third interview, and I'd turned it down not out of spite, but mercy. She believed she was in control. I let her believe it. For months. But last night, she brought mockery into my home. My house. And that I could not allow. The next morning, I cooked breakfast. Scrambled eggs, lightly salted. Black coffee. No toast. She greeted me with a kiss on the cheek like nothing had happened. As if I hadn't been standing there, listening to my own dissection. I smiled and asked about her friends. "Oh, they adored you," she said, lying without even blinking. "They just think maybe you lack direction." I nodded slowly. They're right to worry. She didn't ask what I meant. She never does. Over the next week, I dug deep. I reviewed Clara's project files, audited Jessica's expense reports, checked the server logs for all the nights April claimed she was working late. I wasn't chasing suspicion. I was gathering proof. Cold, unshakable, digital evidence. By Friday, the data had been printed and neatly bound. No confrontation. Not yet. I wanted them relaxed before the knife twisted. So I invited April and her friends to a networking dinner. Told her I wanted to finally experience her world. She laughed and said, "Wear something clean." We met at the executive lounge of the building where they all worked. My building. Not that they knew that yet. They arrived in costume, perfumed, polished, dripping pearls, and polite disdain. Every smile sharpened with lipstick and teeth. April clung to my arm like I was some stray she'd rehabilitated. "I'm just proud he's finally trying," she announced to the table. He was even nervous. I wasn't. I waited. Through the first round of drinks. The second toast. Until Jessica joked about men only finding purpose when the money dries up. Then I stood. From my coat pocket, I drew 4 manila envelopes and placed them on the table, one by one. "This is your final severance package, Jessica," I said calmly. "Clara, yours is a bit lighter. False credentials. There will be legal consequences." They chuckled until they looked closer. Until they saw the corporate seal. My signature. Realization crept in slow, strangling their laughter. April's face drained of all color. "What is this?" "My company," I said, ice in my voice. "And you just got your friends fired." I left the table and walked into the hallway. She followed. The gathering behind us dissolved into tension and whispers. The air itself seemed to curdle. "You lied to me," she whispered, voice cracking. "No," I said. You just never asked the right questions. Her hands shook. You planned this. I turned to her.
Calm.
Controlled. No, April. You planned this the moment you decided to humiliate me. When you laughed at me. When you mocked the man who pays your rent. I didn't know. You didn't care. She reached for my arm. I stepped back.
There's more, I said.
I handed her one final envelope. Inside, a termination letter. Her position dissolved. But I don't even work for her. You did. You just never realized it. I walked away before she could cry, if she even could. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Not because I won, but because the noise was finally gone. The laughter, the arrogance, the illusion. I didn't need revenge. I needed clarity. And now the mask had shattered. She spent so long convincing them who I wasn't. So I showed them who I am. Finality doesn't need to be loud.